With estimates of how often people move house varying from between 8 years to over 20 years, depending on the source, it's not surprising that many vendors become very worried about the whole house moving process. It's effectively a step into the unknown. As a chartered building surveyor, one area of concern I often see is the buyer's surveyor coming to visit their house, as they don't want anything to stand in the way of the sale process. Will the seller pull out as a result, or reduce their offer? To help put you in the best position for a positive survey experience, I've put together a few top tips from a surveyor's perspective. Before the big day, it might be tempting to cover up some of those old cracks, or maybe apply a fresh coat of paint across the dampness in the living room. But you should be aware that if you do this and the surveyor finds damage elsewhere and suspects you're trying to conceal any imperfections with your property, they will likely report this to the buyer, who could become extremely wary about purchasing your property. There is more than one way to find out if a building has defects, and it's not always just the dampness or the cracking internally that are the telltale signs. Often there are other areas a surveyor will see to indicate something is awry. Before your surveyor arrives, ideally, it would be good to have a little tidy up so that the surveyor can move around the property easily, opening and closing doors and windows. As a surveyor, we're not too fussed by stacked up moving boxes, but if there are entire sections of the property that we aren't able to access, we have to report this back to the buyer, who may ask us to return to site another time, which would cause inconvenience to all parties involved. Don't forget that surveyors will also be opening cupboard doors, and so if you've had a big cook-off the night before, it's always a nice touch to have a quick clean down of any handles that might have got greasy or sticky, for example. Your solicitor will be asking you to provide a range of documentation relating to the property, including title deeds, gas boiler servicing records, electrical test certificates, and maybe even building control approval certificates. In most cases, we aren't provided with this information on the day of the inspection, but it always feels like a special treat when a vendor provides these on the day of the survey. It helps us to see that the vendor is on top of things and is nicely organised and ready for sale, which can put us in a positive frame of mind when reporting to our client. When your surveyor arrives, it's always nice to be greeted with a friendly smile, but equally, if you are nervous, tell your surveyor so, and they may be able to talk you through some of the key points of their inspection. Many surveyors have different ways of looking around the property, and if they know you're nervous, they may take the time to talk you through the process, including telling you how long they expect the survey to take and what areas of the property they're inspecting and in which order. I can't talk for all surveyors, but when I'm inspecting a property, I respect that this is the vendor's home, and so if vendors have any online meetings or child nap times, for example, we can arrange an inspection routine to accommodate this. It's your home after all, and you should be able to use it how you like, even if there is a surveyor poking around. While it's really helpful for the surveyor to have a warm welcome when they arrive at the property, the surveyor is there to do a job, and it's actually quite helpful to them often if you don't try to chat with them during the inspection process, as doing so can significantly slow matters down or distract them from their inspection. And of course, depending on the surveyor's timetable, they may have another survey to get to afterwards. On a side note, it's not uncommon for surveys to take longer than planned, so if your surveyor arrives a few minutes late, please try to be accommodating, even if it's annoying to you. When the surveyor goes around your property, they might take photographs, dictated notes, or write notes on paper or on a tablet, and some surveyors will even draw diagrams. We don't want to cause you concern, so if there is anything in the property that you find particularly sensitive, such as family photos, and you don't want those to be photographed, then you can either take them down or communicate this to your surveyor before inspection. One big no-no when you have a surveyor in your house is following them around. I think during my career this has only happened twice, but it's very disconcerting for the surveyor and is often a significant distraction from their task, meaning they have to spend much longer at the property. It will probably annoy the surveyor and could even negatively affect the content of their report. Once the surveyor has completed their inspection of your property, they may be willing to have a discussion of their findings with you, although in my experience this seems to be the exception rather than the norm. My take on this is that vendors have been kind enough to allow us access unhindered to their property for maybe 2 or 3 hours, and so if there are any big issues that they're going to find out about in the near future anyway, we can take a few minutes to explain this to them and the implications of any significant defects found. Of course, on the flip side, if there's nothing of significance, then that can help to allay vendors' fears. Like I said, I don't speak for every surveyor, and many won't want to discuss these matters, so don't assume the worst if your surveyor won't discuss their findings with you. Once you have bid your surveyor a fond farewell at the end of the inspection, that could be the last time you ever see them, and it's not normal that you will receive a copy of the report. One thing to bear in mind though, it is common that a couple of different types of surveyors may want to visit your property, as sometimes the valuation will be completed by a different surveyor to the building condition surveyor. This doesn't mean there's anything extra to be concerned about. If you're selling a property and have more questions on the house moving or survey process, we have plenty more content available on our website at www.harrisonclarke.co.uk, or you can visit our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more property related content.